week's intensity technique is going to be Myoreps. I'm sure most people have not heard of Myoreps, which is actually a great thing because Myoreps are probably one of the most important intensity techniques that we have in our arsenal. And again, most people just have no clue what they actually are. So we're gonna go over that today. We're gonna break them down. We're gonna talk about some pretty cool use cases and also like how we can apply them in our training. So first thing to know is a Myorep is an initial set taken to technical failure. So let's say set between 15 to 20 reps is typically about what a Myorep is going to be. And then you're going to rest for a specified period of time. A lot of times with Myoreps, that rest is going to be indicated by breaths rather than time. So 3 breaths, 5 breaths, things like that. And typically that is a good way to get people to actually quickly recover. So you focus on deep breaths rather than focus on looking at a clock. That kind of just forces you to take deeper breaths and slow your breathing. And then you're going to continue after that initial rest with a standardized amount of reps. So let's say that you get a set of 20 on your initial set, rest for 3 breaths, and then do 3 additional reps. You're going to continue doing that back and forth of breaths, reps, breaths, reps, until you can no longer perform perfect reps for that rep target. So I will try and break that down here as easy as I can here in an example. So we're gonna use cable pullovers as an example. So again, we're gonna assume that this is a 20 rep max, and we're going to take this to technical failure. 19, 20. Let's say that I'm going to rest for 3 breaths here. So, all right, after 3 breaths, I'm gonna go again. Let's say I'm gonna get 5 reps. So I'm gonna do 3 breaths, 5 reps as my paradigm. 2, 3, 5. Okay, so let's assume that I do 3 more breaths, 5 more reps, 3 more breaths, 5 more reps, and I get to my 4th round of breaths and reps. Do my breaths, go back into it, and I'm shooting for 5 reps. 1, 2, failure. Set's done. Set's done now. But what you've done there is you've accumulated a lot of, again, effective reps after that initial failure point, which is super important. Those are going to be those stimulating reps. If you're doing a set of 20 to technical failure, you might not even get stimulating reps that are going to count until maybe like the 16th plus rep. But whenever you add in those additional Myoreps at the end, all of those reps are going to be stimulating because they're all technically close to failure points. So it's important for how we're going to actually analyze Myoreps as an intensity technique. So it is important though to understand you're not doing this for infinity. So if you choose the wrong paradigm, so let's say that you choose 5 breaths and 3 reps and you just keep going and going and going and you're like, shit, like I'm gonna do this forever. Don't do it forever. You do not wanna do that. So after 5 rounds, you just wanna cut it. So you either wanna cut it or sometimes I'll have my clients just take that last 5th Myos set sequence to like technical failure, even if you get above that specified rep target. And then that is what you can actually use as your gauge for following weeks and whenever you're actually trying to beat that effort. So you can increase your load in subsequent weeks. You can decrease your rest time through breaths. You can increase the reps that you're trying to achieve per Myorep, or you can also try and get further with everything else being the same. So in my example here with the pullovers, I got to my 4th Myorep sequence and then I failed. Let's say that I try and I get all the way through 4th and into the 5th. Well, that's progression. As long as everything else is equal, that's progression. So that's how we can track Myoreps. But again, these are super, super effective because everything is, again, effective. All those reps are effective. So whenever we're performing these, you want to be careful with what movements you perform them on. So because there are going to be a high volume of reps taken close to failure, you want to make sure that the movement is safe, so that it is easy to actually transition in and out of because you're taking short rest periods between those Myorep sets. So there can't be a lot of latency there. Like if you're trying to unrack and rack a barbell in between those sets, it's just not gonna work. And also, you wanna make sure that the movement is actually not going to be too fatiguing. So what I mean by that is because the intensity technique in general is going to be massively stimulating. If you're performing this on, let's say, like a deadlift variation, like conventional deadlifts or even like RDLs, something like that, it is just going to generate way too much fatigue. So you're not going to be able to recover from that. You're going to be absolutely wrecked. This is better done, in my opinion, on single joint movements or smaller muscle groups so that you can actually accumulate that metabolic stress without having to worry about the total systemic fatigue that comes with something like Myoreps. If you're doing it on deadlifts again, or like a bent over row, or like a bench press variation, it's just gonna be too taxing on your entire body. It's much better to do this on like curls or calf raises or pullovers. So Myoreps, phenomenal intensity technique. I love implementing them. It is kind of confusing. So as long as you understand what you're meant to be doing there, you can integrate these pretty seamlessly into your training. The key there is just to make sure exactly, or you know exactly what you are doing so that you don't get confused, so that you're not messing up your rest work times, and also make sure that you're doing it on the right movements, because done correctly, awesome. Myoreps done incorrectly, not that great. So implement them, get them done, and have a great time.